Night was silent, but something felt wrong in the small house at the end of the street. Sarah was sitting alone on the sofa, staring at her phone like she was waiting for a ghost to speak. 6 months had passed since her husband, Ian, had died in a car accident. The world believed he was gone forever. Even Sarah had tried to accept it, but her eyes still showed a strange mix of guilt and fear, something she never shared with anyone. Tonight, that fear came back. Her phone buzzed once. Sarah frowned, unlocked it, and then her heart almost stopped. It was a message from Ian's old number. "I'm coming home tonight." Her hands began to shake. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. The room suddenly felt colder. "No, this is not possible," she whispered to herself. "Who is doing this?" She stared at the message again and again. She tried to breathe, but her chest felt heavy, as if someone was sitting on it. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, far from Sarah's house, a man slowly opened his eyes in a hospital bed. The bright white lights above him felt like burning suns. His vision was blurry, but his heartbeat was strong, stronger than it had ever been. It was Ian. The doctors around him were shocked. "You're awake, after so long," one doctor said, almost in disbelief. Ian looked confused. His voice was weak. "How long?" "6 months, the doctor replied. "You were in a coma. Everyone thought you wouldn't survive. But it looks like you have been reborn." Ian blinked. His head felt heavy with strange, broken memories. Flashes of the accident hit him: bright lights, screeching tires, a shadow in the mirror, and then darkness. But there was something else. A whisper, buried deep inside his mind. It wasn't an accident. Ian felt a shiver run down his spine. He didn't know why, but he felt that someone wanted him dead. And somehow, he had survived. He felt stronger, sharper, as if life had given him a second chance. The doctor asked if he wanted to call his family. Ian shook his head. No, not yet. He wanted to see the truth with his own eyes first. Something inside him warned that his life before the accident was not as perfect as he believed. He left the hospital quietly before sunrise. As he walked toward his old neighborhood, he looked at everything with new eyes. He felt like a soldier returning from a war he didn't even remember fighting. And unknown to him, a new war was waiting for him at home. Hours later, after sunset, Ian finally reached near his house. He stood in the shadows, watching the dim lights inside. He expected to feel joy. He expected to feel peace. But instead, he felt danger. He stepped closer. Through the half-open curtain, he saw Sarah. She looked different, more dressed up, wearing the same jewelry she never wore for him. She kept checking the door nervously. Then Ian heard something. A low laugh. A man's laugh. Ian froze. He moved closer quietly. His heart thudded hard inside his chest. Sarah wasn't alone. A man was sitting beside her on the sofa, too close, too comfortable. Their shoulders touched lightly. The man leaned forward, whispering something in Sarah's ear. Sarah smiled, but it was not the shy smile she used to have with Ian. It was a smile of someone hiding something. Ian felt like someone stabbed a knife through his chest. But he didn't move. He didn't speak. He watched. The man placed his hand on Sarah's hand. She didn't pull away. Ian's fists tightened. His body burned with anger, but his mind stayed calm. The reborn part of him was colder, smarter. He wanted answers, not a fight. He took out his phone. The same number Sarah received the message from. He typed slowly. "I'm home. Where are you?" Inside the house, Sarah suddenly stiffened. Her face turned pale. Her eyes went wide with terror. The man beside her looked confused at first, then frightened. They both stared at Ian's old framed photo on the wall as if expecting him to walk through the door any moment. Sarah whispered, voice trembling, "Rahil, it's him, it's Ian's number." Ian's breath caught when he heard the name. Rahil. Ian remembered that name like a scar. His old friend. The friend he hadn't seen since the day before the accident. Ian watched as Rahil stood up quickly, panic in his eyes. He quietly moved toward the back door, trying not to make noise. Sarah grabbed his arm. "What are you doing?" Rahil hissed, "Someone is messing with us. Stay here." But Sarah looked more scared than him. Ian stepped back into the shadows as Rahil slipped outside. Rahil's face came into the dim light and Ian felt something hit him like a thunderbolt. He had seen Rahil's face. Not just before the accident. But on the night of the accident too. In a flash, Ian remembered headlights behind him, following him too closely. A shadowy figure gripping the steering wheel. It was Rahil. A chill passed through Ian's entire body. Rahil didn't just visit Sarah. Rahil didn't just comfort her. Rahil was there on the night Ian died. And now, Ian understood something clearly. He didn't come home to peace. He came home to war. Rahil stepped out of the back door quietly, like a thief escaping the crime scene. His eyes scanned the backyard, searching for anyone hiding in the darkness. But the night was calm, too calm. The only sound was the soft rustle of the trees. Ian watched from the shadows, standing completely still. He could hear his own heartbeat, slow and steady, nothing like before the accident. Something inside him had changed. His fear had died the day he survived. Now he was something else, something stronger. Rahil walked a few steps forward, looking around nervously. "Who's there?" he whispered. No answer. Ian stayed hidden. He wanted to see how Rahil reacted. Was he scared because of the message, or because he had a secret? Inside the house, Sarah paced back and forth, her hands shaking. "Why is this happening?" she whispered. "Why now?" Her fear was different. It wasn't the fear of seeing a ghost. It was the fear of a truth she didn't want to face. Ian's eyes moved from Rahil to Sarah through the window. He saw Sarah clutch her phone tightly, staring at Ian's old photo on the wall. Her voice was barely audible, but Ian heard it. "Ian. I'm sorry." Ian felt something sharp twist in his chest. "Sorry. Sorry for what?" Meanwhile outside, Rahil slowly took out his own phone. He dialed someone, no name, just a number. Ian listened carefully. A cold voice answered, "Why are you calling?" Rahil spoke fast. "Someone is texting Sarah from Ian's number." The voice replied, "That's impossible. The man is dead." Rahil looked around again, fear rising in him. "I don't think he is. Someone saw me leaving the house earlier. And now this." Ian's jaw clenched. So Rahil wasn't acting alone. There was someone else, someone who believed Ian was dead. "Calm down," the voice said. "If anyone finds out, everything will fall apart. Handle it." The call ended. Rahil put the phone back in his pocket and turned toward the house. But Ian stepped out of the shadows silently. Rahil froze. For a second, he looked like he had seen a ghost. But Ian didn't step into the light. He just watched. Rahil narrowed his eyes. "Who's there?" Ian didn't answer. He simply took one step forward, just enough for Rahil to sense someone was present. Rahil panicked and ran back inside. Ian didn't follow him. Not yet. Inside the house, Rahil shut the back door and leaned against it, breathing hard. Sarah rushed toward him. "What happened? Did you see someone?" Rahil didn't answer. He walked straight to the living room, grabbed Sarah's shoulders, and said in a low voice, "Listen to me. Don't tell anyone about the messages. Don't show the phone to anyone. Understand?" Sarah nodded slowly. Her eyes filled with tears. This isn't right. I feel like something terrible is going to happen. Rahil tightened his grip on her arms. His voice dropped even lower. It already did. Those words stabbed Ian harder than any knife could. He had heard enough. He walked quietly to the side of the house, looking through the window again. Rahil was pacing the living room. Sarah sat on the sofa, hugging her knees. You think someone knows? Sarah asked. Rahil stopped walking. His voice turned cold. If he's alive, yes. Sarah's breathing stopped. Ian stepped back into the darkness. Every piece of the puzzle was starting to make sense, but he still needed proof. Proof of what Rahil and Sarah were hiding. Suddenly Rahil's phone buzzed. Ian couldn't hear the message, but he saw Rahil's expression change instantly. He whispered. Someone saw me. Sarah's eyes widened. Who? Rahil swallowed hard. I don't know. But I need to go. If anyone finds out what happened that night. He stopped. Sarah grabbed his arm. You promised me everything was over. Rahil glared at her. It will be. But only if you listen to me. He left through the front door quickly. The moment the door closed, Sarah collapsed on the sofa. The phone slipped from her hand. Her face buried in her palms. I can't do this anymore, she cried softly. Ian had never seen her this broken. This was not the woman laughing with Rahil an hour ago. This was someone hiding something, but also someone scared. He moved to the window again. Sarah lifted her head, eyes full of guilt. Ian, if you were here, you'd hate me. And you should. Ian felt the floor drop beneath him. What had she done? What had Rahil forced her into? His mind was now a battlefield. One part wanted to break the door and confront her. Another part wanted to watch silently until he learned the whole truth. He chose silence. Because silence reveals more truth than anger. Across the street, Rahil stood under a street lamp, dialing someone again. His voice was low but urgent. He might be alive. I saw someone in the backyard. I don't know who, but if it's Ian. He paused. Listening. Then Rahil nodded slowly. I understand. I'll take care of it. Ian watched him from afar, blending into the darkness like he had become a part of it. There was no going back now. He had come home to find peace. But instead, he found betrayal, fear, and a mystery darker than his accident. This was not a reunion. This was the start of an unexpected war. And Ian was ready for it. The streets were quiet, but Ian felt eyes on him everywhere. Every shadow seemed alive, every whisper of wind a warning. He walked slowly, his steps calculated, his senses sharper than ever. Something deep inside told him the night was far from over. Rahil was dangerous, yes, but the real truth was even darker. He remembered Rahil's car at the accident site, how it had been following him that night. Ian shivered. That man hadn't just betrayed Sarah. He had tried to kill him. And somehow, Ian had survived. Reborn. Stronger. Smarter. Now, he could see the patterns that were hidden before, the web of lies spun so carefully. He approached an old shop on the corner, the same place he had stopped before the accident. The shopkeeper, a small, thin man with a sharp gaze, looked at him and froze. Beta, you survived, he said softly. I thought everyone believed you were dead. Yes, Ian replied. But someone wanted me dead. I need to know who. The shopkeeper nodded. I saw a car that night. Black. Fast. Following yours. I thought it was just a coincidence. I didn't know, someone planned it? Ian's jaw clenched. Not a coincidence. Rahil. He stepped away from the shop and glanced at his phone. Sarah's messages, Rahil's calls, it all fit together now, like a puzzle finally revealing the image hidden for months. But one question burned in his mind: why Sarah? Why was she involved, if at all? Ian walked silently back to his house, staying in the shadows. The streets were empty, yet he could feel Rahil's presence everywhere, like a storm waiting to strike. He stopped near the window and peered inside. Sarah was alone this time. But she was crying, clutching a small, folded envelope in her hands. Her lips moved, whispering words Ian couldn't hear. And then she pulled out her phone, scrolling frantically through messages. Ian's heart pounded. He knew he had to act carefully. She was not just a guilty wife. She was trapped. Someone had used her fear to control her Rahil. And Rahil wasn't done yet. Suddenly, a memory hit him, a flash from the night of the accident. Headlights behind him, a shadowy figure, a sudden swerve, a scream. And then, darkness. Rahil's face appeared in his mind, clearer than ever. Ian realized the truth: Rahil had been there, waiting for the right moment to strike. Sarah, she had been caught in his trap too. But she didn't know everything. She only knew the lies Rahil fed her. He watched as Sarah pulled the envelope closer. Inside were photographs. He squinted through the window. His stomach sank. Photos of Sarah and Rahil together, months before his accident. Smiles, hugs, laughter. A betrayal hidden behind false innocence. Sarah noticed something or someone. Her head snapped toward the window. Her eyes widened, and for a moment, Ian felt a pang of hope. Maybe she would tell him the truth. But she didn't. Instead, she whispered, almost to herself, "Rahil, you promised no one would ever find out." Ian clenched his fists. So she wasn't fully guilty. She was afraid. Manipulated. Terrified. And Rahil had used that fear like a weapon. He stepped back, breathing slowly. His plan was forming. He would not confront them blindly. Not yet. First, he needed more evidence. Proof of Rahil's betrayal, proof of Sarah's innocence, and proof of his survival that could scare Rahil enough to make him slip. A few minutes later, Ian noticed Rahil's car pulling up quietly at the end of the street. The man was restless, pacing, checking his phone. Ian stayed hidden, his eyes locked on the vehicle. Rahil entered the house, moving toward Sarah's room. He didn't see Ian in the shadows, and that was exactly how Ian wanted it. He watched as Rahil grabbed the envelope from Sarah's hands, flipping through the photographs with a cold smile. "This is dangerous," Rahil said softly. "If anyone finds this, we're done. You understand?" Sarah nodded silently, tears running down her cheeks. "Yes. I understand." Ian's heart twisted. He wanted to rush in, scream, grab Sarah, but he held back. Patience was the key. Rahil's arrogance would be his downfall. And soon, he would see it. The man left the room and muttered into his phone, his voice low and urgent, "If he's alive, I'll handle it." Ian's eyes narrowed. He had been alive all along, and Rahil still didn't know it. He stepped closer, silent as the night. Every step calculated, every breath measured. A new war had begun. One he would win, but first, he had to uncover all the lies, all the secrets hidden in the shadows of the people he once trusted. And then Ian noticed something, a hidden drawer in the corner of the room, slightly open. Inside were more messages, more evidence of betrayal. Photos, voice recordings, receipts. Rahil had planned this for months. Ian smiled faintly. Finally, the pieces were falling into place. He was alive. He had seen the truth. And soon, Rahil would pay for trying to erase him. But there was one more twist waiting, one more secret buried deeper than he imagined, something that would make the battle personal, dangerous, and unforgettable. Ian whispered into the night, his voice cold but steady. I will uncover everything, and I will make them regret it. The shadows seemed to lean closer. The unexpected war had only just begun. The night air was heavy with tension. Ian had returned home, but he didn't enter through the front door. He circled the house silently, shadows hiding him. His eyes never left the faint glow from the living room window. Inside, Sarah sat on the sofa, hugging herself, her face pale and drawn. Rahil was gone for now, but Ian knew the real danger wasn't outside, it was inside. He slipped into the house through the back door he knew Rahil had used. The floor creaked lightly under his careful steps. Every heartbeat felt louder than before. He moved toward Sarah's room, where he had noticed the hidden drawer in part 3. Something told him the truth waited there, hidden behind small, everyday things. Inside the drawer, he found a pile of photographs, some folded letters, and a phone. He opened a photograph first. It was Sarah and Rahil, smiling, laughing, touching hands in ways that made Ian's chest tighten. His mind flashed back to the night of the accident. All the pieces started fitting together. Rahil hadn't just betrayed him, he had planned it. And Sarah, she had been part of it, even if unwilling. Ian's hands shook, but he controlled his anger. He wanted the truth first. He turned on Sarah's phone and scrolled through old messages. There they were, messages between Sarah and Rahil from months before his accident. Rahil's words were cold, commanding. Make it look like an accident. No one can know. Sarah's reply, trembling and hesitant. I don't want to hurt him. I can't do this. Rahil's response was cruel. If you leave now, you'll regret it. Stick to the plan. Ian's jaw clenched. He realized Sarah hadn't betrayed him out of desire, she had been trapped. Fear had controlled her. Rahil had manipulated her, using threats and lies. And she had complied, until now. The sound of a car outside made Ian freeze. Rahil had returned. Ian quickly hid behind the doorframe. Through the slight crack, he watched Rahil enter the living room. Rahil's eyes were sharp, scanning the house, his hands clenched into fists. Sarah flinched when she saw him. Rahil, please, it's too dangerous. We can't keep doing this. Rahil grabbed her arm, his grip tight. You promised me. I risked everything for you. Sarah pulled her arm away. I didn't promise to betray Ian. I can't keep living a lie. Rahil's face twisted into fury. He stepped toward her, voice low and threatening, if he's alive, if Ian sees this, it's over for both of us. Ian's blood ran cold. Rahil still believed Ian was dead. That mistake would be his downfall. He moved silently toward the drawer, grabbing the last piece of evidence, a voice recording of Rahil, admitting everything. Rahil had planned the accident, the lies, and the threats. Every betrayal, every manipulation, was captured. But Rahil wasn't finished. He had been hiding in plain sight. Ian could feel it, the air thick with danger. Rahil's next move could be deadly. He whispered into his phone, check outside. Make sure he's gone. Ian's eyes narrowed. He needed to act fast. He stepped into the living room, his voice calm but commanding. Rahil. Rahil spun around, shock flashing across his face. What are you doing here? Ian's presence froze Rahil in place. He had underestimated him. He had thought Ian was dead, thought Sarah would stay silent, thought no one would uncover the truth. I saw everything, Ian said softly, holding up the photographs and the phone. The accident, your plans, your lies. Rahil's hands shook. This is impossible. You're dead. I'm very much alive, Ian replied, stepping closer, his eyes cold and steady. And now everyone knows the truth. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Ian. I. I didn't want this. He forced me. I. I didn't. Ian looked at her, and something in his expression softened. He understood. She had been a pawn, not a villain. But Rahil, he had chosen this path. Rahil took a step back, panic rising. You can't do this to me. No one survives my plan. Ian smiled faintly, cold and controlled. You didn't plan for me to come back. Rahil lunged, but Ian was faster. He grabbed Rahil's wrist, twisting it and forcing him down onto the sofa. The fight was brief but brutal. Sarah watched, frozen, as the man who had tried to destroy their lives was subdued. Outside, sirens wailed. Ian had called the police earlier, anticipating Rahil's desperate moves. Within minutes, officers arrived and arrested him. Rahil glared at Ian with pure hatred. This isn't over, he spat. Ian's eyes were icy. It's over for you. Sarah collapsed into Ian's arms, crying silently. I'm so sorry. I never wanted this. I was scared. Ian held her tightly, letting her cry. He whispered softly, I know. You survived too, in your own way. But even as the police took Rahil away, a shadow of doubt remained. Ian had uncovered the betrayal, but he still felt that something deeper was hidden. Someone else, someone he hadn't seen, someone who had been behind Rahil all along. Ian looked out the window at the night sky. His rebirth was not just survival, it was a chance to uncover every secret, every lie, and every hidden enemy. And he knew, deep inside, that the real war was far from over. Ian whispered softly to himself. I'm not done yet. The unexpected war was only beginning. The night was thick with tension. Every corner of the house seemed alive with shadows. Ian had waited, watching, planning, and now the time had come. Rahil had been arrested, but Ian knew that removing him wouldn't end the danger completely. He had survived once, and he was ready to face every secret, every lie, and every hidden threat. Sarah sat on the sofa, exhausted, her face streaked with tears. The truth had been revealed. Rahil had manipulated her, forced her into lies, and threatened her life. She had apologized 100 times, but her words felt small against the storm that had raged around them. Ian knelt beside her. It's over now, he said softly, though his voice carried steel. We're safe. But the night had one final twist. A shadow moved in the hallway. A figure, silent and careful. Ian's eyes narrowed. Rahil. No, the man was different, taller, darker. Someone Ian hadn't seen before. Before he could react, a knife glinted in the dim light. The stranger lunged. Ian barely moved, sidestepping the attack. His reborn strength and reflexes allowed him to counter with precision. The fight began in earnest. Metal clashed against his fists, heavy breathing filled the air, and Sarah screamed, frozen in terror. You shouldn't have come back, a low voice hissed. Ian recognized it immediately. It was Rahil's accomplice, the real mastermind behind the accident. The man who had orchestrated everything from the shadows. Rahil had been a pawn. Ian's heart pounded, but he didn't falter. You underestimated me, he replied calmly, dodging another attack. Sarah finally found her voice. Ian. Be careful. Ian's eyes locked on her. Go inside. Lock the doors. Call the police. She hesitated but did as he said, trembling. The sound of her phone dialing the police gave Ian a small relief. He was not alone in this battle. The fight turned brutal. The stranger swung wildly, but Ian moved with calculated precision, every punch, every block deliberate. Years of betrayal, pain, and survival fueled him. He could see the fear in the stranger's eyes the first time he had ever seen it. You survived, the man shouted, stumbling back. I thought I killed you. Ian smiled faintly. You didn't account for second chances. A final blow sent the stranger crashing into a wall. He groaned, dazed, the knife slipping from his hand. Ian approached slowly, catching the man's gaze. Why? Ian asked. Why did you do it? Why Rahil? Why me? The man laughed, a chilling, hollow sound. Rahil was expendable. You were, an obstacle. Nothing more. Ian felt a cold fury rise inside him, but he restrained it. He wasn't here to destroy recklessly. He was here to survive, reveal the truth, and bring justice. Police sirens wailed outside. The man realized too late that Ian had called them before the fight. Within moments, officers stormed inside, handcuffing the stranger. Sarah ran to Ian, tears streaming down her face. It's over, it's finally over. Ian held her tightly, his mind still racing. He had survived betrayal, lies, and death itself. But in this moment, holding Sarah, he allowed himself a small sense of peace. The next morning, the truth began to surface. Investigators confirmed that the stranger had been the one behind the accident. Rahil had only been a pawn, manipulated into carrying out a plan he didn't fully understand. Sarah's involvement had been coerced, she had acted out of fear. Ian absorbed the news silently. Justice had been served, but his heart remained heavy. Betrayal had left scars deeper than any wound. He had come back reborn, yes, but the rebirth was not just of body, it was of mind, spirit, and purpose. He returned home, locking the doors, looking at the photographs that once represented betrayal. Now, they were reminders of survival, of strength, and of truth. Sarah approached him cautiously. Ian, do you forgive me? Ian looked at her, the weight of the past still in his eyes. I do, he said finally. But forgiveness doesn't erase the lessons learned. We have to be careful, always. Sarah nodded, relief and regret mingling on her face. I understand. And I'll do everything to make it right. Ian smiled faintly, a mixture of warmth and wariness. We have a second chance. Let's not waste it. But even as they embraced, the narrator's voice deep and haunting hinted at an unfinished chapter. Ian survived death, uncovered betrayal, and faced the hidden enemy. But the world has more secrets, and in the shadows, new threats wait. The unexpected war may be over, for now. But his journey has just begun. And as the camera pans out from the quiet house, the night sky seems calm. But somewhere, in darkness beyond sight, a new figure watches. Waiting. Patient. Ready. The story ends, but the war continues.